I'm Chris Erdmann, and this is Made of More, the show where we go beyond business to uncover real stories that shape entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, we explore the pivotal moments, the adversity faced, the risks taken, and the resilience found along the way. This isn't just about what people have built, it's about who they've become. If you're ready for inspiration, practical insights, and stories that remind you that you too are made of more, you're in the right place. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're listening from. I'm Chris Erdmann, your host of Made of More here on KKNW 1150 AM. And today I'm sitting here with yet another special, great friend who happens to be an amazing doctor, has a great story, runs a good business. And I just got to say, I feel really lucky that, Richard, you're on the show here today. So thank you for coming on and making your way here.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for that great introduction. I'm humbled.
Well, I haven't said enough, but we're going to unravel who you are as a human and as that business machine that you are. I mean, you're just very inspirational, and I feel lucky that I get to interview you, and our listeners get to learn and experience Dr. Richard Way.
Wow. Well, please stop with the accolades. No, keep going, actually.
Keep going. I can keep going. So, Richard, I want to ask you a little bit about your business, and then we're going to go into you personally. So,
sure. Yeah, so I have a clinic. It's called Care Medical Group. It's located in Bellingham, Washington, and it sees around 16,000 patients a year. It's a very robust clinic, and the way I designed the different silos within the clinic is that they actually feed off of each other. So, for example, I have an urgent care program that helps with my physical therapy clinic as well as my occupational medicine clinic. And then I also have sports medicine and primary care. So all of that kind of gives my clinic a one-stop shop under one roof.
Full experience.
Full experience. We have x-rays, we have blood draws, we have EKGs, we have pulmonary function tests, we have audio equipment, we have blood draws, we have everything that needs to get the diagnosis for the patient, all under one roof. So it's great.
And not to mention an amazing staff.
Oh my goodness. I could not be the clinic that my reputation has if I didn't have amazing staff. And yes, that's so important.
It takes a good leader to hire like all those other great leaders inside of your clinic.
Correct. So I hire for culture. I've learned this over the years that you could look good on paper, but if your persona is such that you cannot get along with my other staff members, it's not going to be a good fit. And so definitely I think one of the most important things when I look for is you hire for your culture. Sure.
That's good. That's great wisdom right there. Something you only get from experience.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, let's get into who you are. Tell me, how did you first get interested in medicine?
Well, when I was in utero, in my mom's belly, she had put a tape recorder taped to her stomach. Wow. And in a really deep voice, I heard this guy's voice saying, "You will be a doctor."
Wow.
And then when I was born, she placed the same tape recorder under my crib, and all I heard was, "You will be a doctor." And then one day, my mom asked me, so Richard, what are you going to be when you grow up? I said, I don't know. I think I'm going to be a doctor.
Wow. So how many years was this going on for?
I don't think it was too long, but it was enough to make an impression for sure.
Wow. Well, I mean, I could probably say this and you could say this is like a stereotypical Asian mom.
Yeah, my mom was a tiger mom for sure. Loved us tremendously.
Of course.
But gave me a lot of discipline. You know, one story I'll tell about my mom is I was in third grade. I got a B in one of my classes, and she was so upset. She made me sit in the corner with my nose in the corner saying that, "Okay, son, you will never get another B ever again."
Oh, man.
And yeah, it worked.
It did work.
It worked.
So you're a straight A student after that?
I try to be. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 Bs.
Sure.
That's about it, though.
Yeah, but it wasn't a habit.
It was not a habit, no. My mom would be disappointed.
Wow, that's so cool that your mom was such a forward thinker like that and just already using technology to reinforce positive thoughts inside of you.
Exactly. I have a lot to be thankful with my mom's direction in my life, for sure.
So tell me a little bit more about your early years. What left a big impression of who Dr. Richard Way is? Because like when I think about you, not just as a friend and not just as a doctor, but you seem like you have great leadership skills that you exude. It doesn't seem like that you're forcing them. It seems like a lot of the stuff really comes naturally. And I just have to think a lot of the stuff came from your younger years of youth and some influences.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think some of the big influences of my life is one being, an athlete, participating in a lot of sports, gives you a lot of confidence, but also martial art. When I was younger, my dad got me involved in self-defense, and through that learning process, you obtain, at least I did, a lot of discipline, a lot of determination, a lot of confidence, and a lot of leadership abilities from that as well.
And the process.
Yes, the process is grueling.
Yeah. We've been involved in some business transactions, and just getting to experience you, not just at your office, but in the business world, like to watch you naturally just say, pull out your pen and paper, and you're such a visual and forward thinker. I see you just jotting down these processes and like examining your thoughts, and then boom, give it a couple minutes and Dr. Richard Way knows what he wants.
Well, you're kind to say that, but that's, through many years of experience, correct? The analogy would be I can walk into a patient's room and within 5 minutes make a diagnosis, whereas when I was a student studying, it would take me probably 3 hours just to do a physical exam, and then another hour or two to, come up with a good treatment plan, an assessment plan, whereas through experience and through wisdom gained, you can make the same diagnosis, the same physical exam in a very short amount of time.
Sure. Honing in that craft.
Exactly.
Well, what was next? So you came from the womb, and you've already been listening to your future, what you're going to be. Then you had martial arts and sports. What came next? What leading up into maybe college or your early years of?
Sure. I think one of the most important lessons I have learned in my life was actually from my father. He told me an old Aesop fable, and one day, brothers and sisters, I have 3 sisters and myself, so I just felt like I was ganged up on.
Yeah.
And I remember a moment where we were all bickering about what games to play, and my dad said, okay, that's enough. All of you into the backyard. And he had us pick up as many sticks as possible. Luckily, we had a willow tree, so there's a lot of sticks to pick up. And we each had a big pile, a bundle of sticks in front of us. And he said, well, take one stick and break it. And we did rather easily. And then he said, now pick up the whole bundle of sticks and see if you can break that. And as hard as we can try, we cannot break that bundle of sticks. And so what my father said then was, if you're by yourself, alone, you're easily broken, just like that single stick you guys broke. But if you're together as a family, with friends, with loved ones, with husband, wife, children, you're that bundle of stick. No one can break you. And that's been a good philosophy for me. I truly believe in that.
Wow, your father sounds really wise to just from that one lesson.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it was a great lesson. I loved it.
And so tell me, are you the youngest, oldest? Where do you lie within your siblings?
So I'm third born, the only son in the family, and so I was spoiled.
Yeah.
But I gladly accept it.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty amazing. So how's the relationship? Did anybody else become a doctor or?
Well, so in my family, of the 3 sisters, 2 of them went into the health field. They became occupational therapists. And then the youngest was a maverick, and she went into business, and she's really successful now as well. So, Yeah, so 2 into medicine, and then the Maverick went into business, which is still a great area to practice in.
Sure, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. So what came next? So where do you want to start as far as your journey? Did you ever have a regular job, or did you just like go through school and knowing I'm just going straight into becoming a doctor?
So, yeah, I dabbled in a few jobs. First job ever was at a restaurant, we'll just call it KFC.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh my goodness, I was just not cut out to be that type of employee. And I had actually burned several trays of chicken.
Okay.
And the store was owned by a coach of mine in high school, and he would recruit his athletes to work in it. And one day I just went up to my coach and I just said, you know what, I don't think I'm cut out for the chicken business. He goes, oh, thank God, because I'm tired of having all my chicken burnt by you.
That's funny.
So that was actually my first job that lasted like a month. And then when I got into college, I wanted to focus on medicine. And so I got a job as a phlebotomist, which was great in a sense of connecting with the patients, learning a skill set of how to draw blood from very difficult veins that are, from patients that are hospitalized. I do have a traumatic experience with that. My very first day drawing blood was this rather old, cachectic woman that just needed blood draws to see what her electrolytes were like. And when I was ready to draw the blood from her elbow, all of a sudden she freaks out, straightens out her elbow, and the syringe with the needle popped out of my hand, started twirling in the air.
Oh, no.
I went to calm her down, and then all of a sudden I felt a jab in my ankle.
Oh, no.
And that syringe with the needle stuck in my ankle. Oh, my God. I was like, are you kidding me? My first day out drawing blood, and I get stuck with a needle. Luckily, it was a clean needle. Didn't even enter her blood at all. So, but still, though, what a lesson.
Common?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
At least in my clinic, it's not.
Yeah, good. That's all that matters, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then, so from burning chicken to drawing blood.
Yes.
And then you grew up in, all this was taking place in, was it Chicago area?
It was in Chicago. Some interesting experiences in medical school. Wow. It's so much study and, 20 hours of study a day.
That's dedication.
Just, whew. And that ties back to martial arts. It gave me that discipline to persevere and overcome obstacles. And that was a big obstacle. It was not getting enough sleep, finding enough time to study as well. I did that for 4 years in med school.
Did you ever feel like quitting or at any
Never.
point?
No, I never had that inclination at all. I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. It was my calling. I wanted to save lives, and I knew that it would be a hard road, and I just kept going. Yeah, I never once thought I'd quit.
That's great, because I've talked to a few doctors in the past, and they're saying they've thought about quitting, because that 14 to 16-hour day studying could be pretty grueling.
Oh, yeah, and then after that comes residency, where, you can work up to 120 hours a week.
So break down residency for us that don't, for the listeners that maybe not know what it is.
So residency is structured where you're a working employee. However, you're still learning, and there's a whole team of physicians that are training you from the fellow to the attending to the senior residents. And though you get paid, I think my salary at that point was, I think, $1.75 an hour. That's what we were paid. If you broke down all the hours that we worked, it was not a lot of money.
Just enough to buy lunch.
Just enough, barely. Barely. I relied on free lunches at the hospital.
Okay, so you saved it for dinner then.
Saved it for dinner, which was like probably a hot dog.
Yeah.
But residency provides all these hours of training. If you look at all the different disciplines of training, you can see why MDs are so knowledgeable, right? We have close to anywhere from 4 to 7 years post-grad training, whereas, so you're talking about many thousands of hours of training. And if you look at a physician assistant, they might get around 1,500 hours of training. And then if you look at a nurse practitioner in their discipline before they go and, basically do internships and all that, they have like roughly 500 hours of training, though they've been nurses for all these years. So that certainly counts. But, if you look at the differences of training, a physician certainly has a lot of hours of training. It makes us the expert in medicine for sure.
Okay. And then during this time, when did you discover what type of doctor that you wanted to be?
My mentor actually gave me ideas of what to look at. His name was Dr. Subash, and what a great guy. And he gave me a lot of insight as to the different specialties that medicine have. And when I started really thinking about which career choice I wanted, I would go ahead and do an externship in that field. But then I would also ask, the physicians in their 50s, what do you still love what you do? When do you think you'll retire? And I found that the surgical practices, a lot of them wanted to retire early. Physicians also wanted to retire early because of being burnt out. So I went from wanting to be an orthopedic surgeon to an ER doc to then just running my own business and creating an urgent care center that was robust enough to be a quasi emergency room. And I'm very happy that I chose that career because I love what I do.
Yeah, because you have a wide range of things that you're working with.
Yeah, and every day we're saving lives still, which is great. And that's my passion. That's why I love what I do, is having the knowledge and the training to save people's lives. There's nothing like it at all.
Yeah, that's got to feel really rewarding.
It is.
In those moments.
Yeah, and I believe it also gives you good karma.
Yeah, yeah. That can never hurt, getting good karma in this life, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so 16,000 patients a year.
Yeah, it's a busy clinic for sure.
Yeah, when you're a part of a busy clinic, like, how do you manage your staff and for them to be on the same page as you?
Well, I always tell my employee that busy equals job security. And they always chuckle like that, but they realize that, yes, we have to see the patients not only to treat them, but also in terms of a business model is to increase the revenue based on making sure patients like our clinic and they keep coming back. I treat my employees as family. I think that if they need my help, they know that I'm there to help them regardless of what the issues are. And I believe that instigates loyalty. I've had employees that have been with me from the beginning of the clinic. I have a physician assistant that is incredible, and he's been with me since the beginning of the clinic as well.
Which is, what year did your clinic start?
2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought it was before then.
Yeah, that was when I bought it.
That's when you purchased it. Okay. When did you start medicine in Bellingham?
2011.
It was 2011. Okay.
that was my one and only purchase in medicine, and I was very happy with it.
All right. Well, you've been listening to the show Made of More. I'm your host, Chris Erdmann, and we have the honor today of meeting with Dr. Richard Way on KKNW 1150 AM. Tune back in, and we'll continue his journey as a doctor in medicine.
Imagine home. The smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face. Free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of U.S. states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to discover remarkable stories of resilience and cultural connection? This is Diaspora, a show sharing the journeys of first-generation immigrants from the Indian subcontinent now building their lives in North America. Inspiring, insightful, and always engaging, Diaspora offers a unique perspective on the immigrant experience. Join me, Aditya Mehta, my guests, on the Diaspora Show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here on KKNW.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to the show Made of More. I'm your host, Chris Erdmann. We're on KKNW 1150 AM, and our special guest today is Dr. Richard Way of Care Medical Group out of Bellingham, Washington. So welcome back to the show, and thank you for sharing your early life, Dr. Richard Way.
You're very welcome. Those were great questions, Chris.
Oh, thank you. Well, I got to be prepared for the doctor.
Yes.
So let's move ahead here. And you mentioned something about a mentor, but I do know from our conversations that you've definitely had more than one mentor. And who were your mentors, and how did they play a role in your life?
Sure. Yeah. Mentors, I think, are very important in being successful in business. Mm-hmm. My first mentor was when I was a student, and he actually kind of guided me into the specialties that I wanted to choose for myself.
Yeah.
So he was very valuable in that sense.
What was his name?
His name was Dr. Subash.
Dr. Subash.
Yes.
Okay, so let's hear how Dr. Subash impacted your life.
Yeah, so he would sit down during lunch, and while we're eating, he would just inquire, so what are your interests? How do you want to achieve your goals? And so I told him that my interest, right, was that I love procedures, I love saving lives. And he said, well, what kind of lifestyle do you want? And that was important. That was a question I never thought of, because you're focused on just being a physician and not really looking at the lifestyle that a physician can have.
That's a great question.
It was. And I told him that, I loved sports, I loved musicals and fine dining, and being able to balance a work-life schedule so that I wouldn't burn out. And through these conversations, he actually guided me from being an ER doctor or an orthopedic surgeon to being a specialist in urgent care and sports medicine. And as a result of that, I've become very successful. So that was one of my mentors. Another mentor was Steve Hessel, who was the chairman of my fellowship back in Chicago at University of Illinois in Chicago. And he gave me the impetus to get a master's in public health with a focus on hospital administration. And so instead of a 2 or 3 year program, I crunched it in 1 year.
Wow.
And did a fellowship on top of that. So I was busy.
Sounds like it.
But the knowledge I gained from that master's in public health on hospital administration allowed me to really develop my business acumen. And so looking at spreadsheets and profits and losses and looking at financial performance was second nature and so important in building a successful practice.
Any other mentors that you want?
So yeah, after my first year in New Orleans, that was my first job, they made me a partner, which was amazing after 1 year. And
so what does this mean, made you a partner?
So it meant that I had equal say in how the clinic was run. It gave me equal revenue in terms of bonus structures. And it gave me the freedom to really start developing this clinic into something that my partners didn't even think of. So what I did there was I built one clinic into 5 clinics.
Yeah.
I also had around 3 different physical therapy clinics as well. I developed a helicopter service to the Gulf of Mexico to bring in all these injured workers from the oil rigs to my hospital, where I can treat them and then also bring them back to my clinic. So those were all powerful tools and made the clinic very successful. I, probably tripled, quadrupled the revenue within 5 years of when I became partner.
Wow, that's outstanding.
That was great. It was a great experience.
Yeah, what a great experience. Sounds pretty wild, developing a helicopter program.
Yeah, that was just by happenstance, being at the right place at the right time.
You don't say that every day.
That is true. That is true. But I had lunch with the CEO of the hospital one day, and he was looking for partners to develop this helicopter service for their walk-in clinic as well. And I said, well, I can certainly contribute to that because I had a lot of companies that were in the oil and gas business.
Sure. Oh, wow. What about pivotal moments? Do you have a pivotal moment that stands out that changed your trajectory of your career and potentially personal life?
Yes, I've had several. I would say the most profound was being in New Orleans and then going through Hurricane Katrina. That was humbling. That was devastating.
What
And I
year,
still feel,
what year was that again?
Yeah, that was in 2005, I believe.
Yeah, so 2005, Hurricane Katrina just rocked. What area was that?
So New Orleans down to the Mississippi area, it was such a big hurricane.
Yeah, so you were down there in the New Orleans area?
I was, yeah. That's where my practices were. And when we found out Hurricane Katrina was barreling down on us, the hospital that I was practicing in had a policy that if you had patients in the hospital, you would have to stay through the hurricane.
You guys didn't have any idea how bad it was going to be, did you?
I had an idea it was going to be pretty bad. So I had 3 patients left in the hospital, and I literally begged them to let me medevac them out of the area. And they finally all agreed. So I got 2 of them out by helicopter, 1 out by ambulance. And then I was able to jet home, drive my family to the airport, but on the way over there, I was driving on the shoulder illegally because it was a parking lot. There's no room to move anywhere.
Sure.
And I didn't want to miss my flight out of New Orleans to Chicago. And as I was driving on the shoulder, a policeman pulled me over.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, no, are you kidding me? And so he walks up to my car, and fortunately, I knew him because his partner I had previously treated or helped treat for a gunshot wound like a week before.
Okay.
And he goes, oh my God, Dr. Way, you're not supposed to be driving on the shoulder. I said, oh, please let me go. Please let me go. And he said, okay, fine. And he actually gave me an escort to the airport. So I made it on
how
time.
lucky.
Oh, it was very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Wow. And so how did that change your trajectory?
So when I went back down to New Orleans like a week after the hurricane devastated everything, I mean, I saw horrible sights, animals, cows, horses impaled on tree branches 30 feet up. I saw human lives lost, bloating in the streets with no help at all.
Wow. What a vision.
And it made me determined that I wanted to help as many people as I can with my knowledge base. And so it made me hyper-focused on being successful in business as well as medicine. When I went to my house, it was, under 30 feet of water.
Can't imagine.
Really sad. And so when the water finally drained, maybe a month later, I went back to my house, and all the material goods that I owned were just destroyed, suits, golf clubs, cars, all of that. And it humbled me. It made me realize that material goods come and go, but really your health, your relationships are what's most important in life. And that's what I started focusing on. I started through Hurricane Katrina understand that the world is not a bed of roses. It'll knock you down.
Right.
And how you get up is just as important as how you get knocked down.
I'm thinking about the analogy with the sticks as you're telling the story. Like, how did that come into play?
Well, it made me realize that, surrounding yourself with friends, loved ones, and family was way more important than chasing down material goods, right? And, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the finer things in life, but that's not my focus anymore.
No.
My focus is on being kind and being generous and helping people in times of need. And I know that my friends and loved ones know that they can depend on me for that, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah. I'm very thankful for that too, because recently I just had something happen to one of my family members, and I just got to say it was really nice to give you a call and get that reassurance that you'd be there to review the charts of this family member and to just give me that sense of security, like, because this person's very important to me, and to risk losing them, it's one of the closest relationships that I have in my life, and for just to know that you're there to look over their charts and help, that your willingness to direct kind of your knowledge to make sure that they're going to be in a good place, or at least possibly healing as quick as possible. I think that goes a long way. So I just got to say, like, your generosity and your kindness is really amazing.
Wow. Thank you, Chris. And of course, I'm always available and willing to help, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you do this with other friends and just other people. And it's just, you're a busy person, but obviously not too busy for that.
Well, I feel that it's a calling. I was put on this earth, I believe, to help people and to save lives. And I think I've done that many times, and it's very rewarding, sure.
Yeah, and I could see that. So the trajectory that it kind of changed, it sounds like it's really probably took something that was already instilled in you because the focus of health and family, but it sounds like it maybe got you laser focused and made you realize that is all we have.
Yeah, it made me realize that why waste your time pursuing the material world where you can focus really on helping people and making sure that I have a robust clinic that I can do that with.
Yeah, and you're doing it. And this is kind of another question, but maybe we'll get a different answer out of it. Like everyone faces obstacle, and that was a great obstacle. But do you have another obstacle that you want to share, or a challenge that has tested you?
Oh my God, I've had so many. Where do I begin?
Well, one that gives you the gift of hindsight.
Okay, so medical school.
Yeah.
Right. The first big class that we had was anatomy, and you form a group, which I did. There's 4 of us, and you really bond over this, right? Because, you're dissecting a human body, and so there's a lot of reverence with that and respect. But halfway through the semester, the leader of our group pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we just had a breakfast meeting." I said, "Oh, how come I wasn't invited?" And he said, "Well, it was about you." And I said, "What about me?" And he said, "Well, your knowledge in anatomy is way more than what we have, and we feel that we're not learning as much because, you're doing all the dissecting." So as an aside, right, when I was in undergrad, I did so well in anatomy that the anatomy professor asked me to be a TA as an undergrad, which was fantastic. Wow. So I knew it was an honor, and I knew my anatomy really well. And so when this guy told me that he wanted to actually kick me out of the group, oh my God, that was devastating.
So it didn't come off as good news then?
It was horrible news. And, it's heartbreaking too, because, you form this bond, and all of a sudden someone's telling you that, you're either too good or you're not good enough for us.
Either way, it's like, it's not working.
No, it's a slap in the face. But it gave me...
And how old were you?
I was, in my 20s.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you're young 20s, and you're feeling the rejection.
Oh, yeah. I felt it big time.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, what I did was, because I still needed to learn and relearn the anatomy. So I held 3 a.m. anatomy sessions on my friends' cadavers, and I would teach whoever wanted to show up. And it started off with a few of my fellow students, and then at the end of the semester, I probably had close to, half the class attending that, which was very flattering for me.
Yeah.
And so when the finals came along, I not only aced it, but I got all the extra credits. So I got like 110% on my anatomy course, and did well enough that they actually asked me to teach anatomy for the summer for the remedial students that failed. Well, then come and behold that the fellow who asked me to leave the anatomy group had failed.
Oh, no.
And he was to be a student in my summer class.
Yeah.
And he was so embarrassed that he switched school. He left our school.
Oh, no.
So But yeah, the lesson learned there is that
It's very competitive, it sounds like.
it is so competitive.
Yeah.
And no matter how well your intentions are, there's always going to be someone that has malcontent with you. And just learn how to deal with that. And when life knocks you down, is you get up and you flourish and you prosper.
It just makes me think sometimes we don't know what luck is. And we don't know if it's good luck or bad luck. And in that moment that you were feeling that rejection, it felt like maybe a sense of bad luck.
Horrible luck.
But in the end, like not too long later, it sounds like you 110%, how many people were showing up to your class. And it feels like that was just probably some of the best luck that could have happened.
Right. But it's lessons, though. I could have done the opposite, right? I could have just withdrawn and be by myself. But instead, I found a way to
Persevered.
Yeah, to make this, leaving the group become successful. And that's what I'm happy about, for sure.
Yeah. I know you as a pretty humble guy for being as successful as you are. Like, have you always been like that?
I think I have. I've been very fortunate in my upbringing. Came from a well-loved family, and I always felt uber confident about myself. But earlier on, I realized that if you're really cocky and overconfident about your abilities, no one appreciates that. I certainly didn't appreciate that quality.
Yeah.
And so over time, through my parents' teachings, I think being humble is probably the best way of expressing your confidence.
I think that's a great quality. It's one that I think everybody enjoys about you.
Thank you, Chris. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Well, thank you for sharing the story. We're gonna continue this, but you've been listening to the show Made of More. I'm your host, Chris Erdmann. We're here on KKNW 1150 AM, and we have been listening to our amazing guest, Dr. Richard Way of Care Medical Group out of Bellingham. If you want to find him, stay tuned or stay here after these messages.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdmann. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Real people, real life, real radio. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to the show Made of More. I'm your host, Chris Erdmann, here at KKNW 1150 AM. And we're tuning back in with our guest, Dr. Richard Way from Care Medical Group out of Bellingham, which I also have learned that he can see people anywhere in the state of Washington via telemedicine. What is telemedicine?
That's right. Telemedicine made its mark actually during COVID, when patients were afraid of seeing physicians and physicians were really careful with seeing patients. Telemedicine was a good bridge. And so what telemedicine is actually a medical appointment that is either done through video or a Zoom meeting, and it allows a physician to actually treat someone from a distance.
And what's the percentage of telemedicine visits do you guys get per week, or how would you quantify?
Yeah, so during COVID, it was probably 50% of our practice. But I'd rather see patients in person for sure. And so now it's probably closer to 10 to 15%. I always say early mornings for the telemedicine visits, and I've had patients, contact me throughout the state when they're traveling or they can't make the appointment.
How would they contact you? Just by your calling the telephone number, or?
So what happens is that they actually call the front desk, set up an appointment for a telemedicine visit. Then there is a link and an app that is sent to the patient. And when they register and sign on, there's another link there that goes into the Zoom meeting. And when I see that link on green light, I click on it and we're automatically connected.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, technology is amazing.
Technology is amazing. We're going to go the opposite way. I'm curious, what is your daily practices, and are you spiritual about it as well?
Yeah, I would love to answer that question. I'm certainly spiritual. I believe that karma is certainly something that happens in the real world. There's a strong belief system in God. There's a strong belief system in the universe as well that I have. I think that the spiritual aspect has helped me tremendously in my practice as well. It allows me to trust my instincts about a patient. So, for example, I had a patient a couple weeks ago that came in with abdominal pain. She was in her mid-50s, and she was seen in the emergency room. She was seen in an urgent care center outside of my clinic. And so I was the third clinic that she came to in 3 days. And so she told me her symptoms. She said, I'm really in a lot of abdominal pain. And I thought to myself, well, goodness, the ER did a really thorough workup. Couldn't find anything wrong with her. But looking at her and on my exam, she had very tender abdomen. And I knew something was going on, but I just couldn't send her back to the ER because, they've already seen her. So I ordered a special diagnostic test. And sure enough, she had something that you couldn't see on the other diagnostic test, but she had something called mesenteric ischemia. So her bowels were basically dying because there weren't enough blood supply.
Yeah.
So since I was able to get that diagnosis, we're able to get her into the hospital, get her into surgery same day, and save her life.
Oh my gosh. Wow. What'd that feel like? What was your takeaway?
Oh, it is rewarding, right? Saving someone's life like that. But knowing that the only reason that came about was, one, I trusted my gut instinct. Two, is that I was very thorough in getting the proper diagnostic imagings done. And that's what did it.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think I've ever saved anybody's life, so I don't know what that's like. I think the closest thing that I've ever done to save somebody's life is the wind was blowing on the dock, and this little kid was about to go over, and I grabbed his arm so he wouldn't go into the water.
Well, you saved a life.
There we go.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's just as rewarding as the way that you've done it.
Well, there's a lot of examples of that are outside medicine, like in the real world. Like I was on a beach in the Caribbean one year, and I had my headphones set on, and I was just jamming to my music, and I see all these people rushing to the ocean side. And I take my headphone off and I hear, is there a doctor around? Is there a doctor around? And I thought to myself, oh my God, there's got to be a ton of doctors around. I'll let them take care of this, right? And as I'm looking, no one was volunteering. And I see this guy being pulled out of the ocean who's completely blue. And I thought, uh-oh, this guy's in trouble. So I rushed over there. And I didn't have a stethoscope. I didn't have a heart monitor. I didn't have any access to IV medications or fluids. And so I looked at the man and I thought, okay, he is in trouble. He's still breathing. He still had a heart rate, but he was struggling. So I had to put my ear to his chest and use that as a stethoscope. And all I heard was all these wheezing. And it turned out that he had asthma and that he, as he was swimming, started swallowing a lot of water. And so he was a near drowning victim as well. And so after doing a lot of, Heimlich maneuvers, trying to get the air out of the water out of his chest, he still was pretty blue. And I thought to myself, this guy's not going to make it. And so I got up and asked, the audience really, does someone have epinephrine, an inhaler for asthma. And of course, a French guy comes up and goes, "Yes, I've got that for you." So I emptied the nebulizer into this guy's lung, and sure enough, he pinked up. He got air into his airway finally.
Yeah.
And then by that time, finally, the ambulance came like 40 minutes later.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So that was a pretty interesting save.
Sounds like a movie scene almost.
I know, it's crazy. It's still in my memory banks.
Yeah. Did you guys exchange numbers and like just stay in touch and buy you
Well,
gifts?
the hotel was very generous.
Yeah.
And gave me a free meal and thanked me profusely for
Oh,
helping
I
out
know
the
you don't even
patient.
expect anything like that,
I
but
know.
it's like, wow.
Yeah, that
good
was
for
very
them.
cool. That was very
Yeah,
cool.
good
But
for
he
them.
was in the hospital. He was still in the hospital when I left. So, I did see him once in the hospital, but that was it.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like that was already the answer, but what does made of more mean to you?
Great question. So, made of more, what I think about is, the world is not a bed of roses, right? I mean, it could be a horrible world out there and it'll knock you down. And I think made of more is the ability of picking yourself up every time you've been knocked down. You pick yourself up and you do better than what you were doing before, to the point where you finally get up, you stay up, you flourish, you prosper, and you give that spirit to the world as well.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
The world is that place where it is going to knock us down. I think it's countless times I've been knocked down in my life. And you know what? You have to make that decision. I feel like there's no other option. Like, I have to pick myself up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But there's so many people in the world that have been knocked down and unfortunately cannot get up. And I feel for them. So my message to people is, if you get knocked down, find that grit within yourself and that determination and that discipline to pick yourself up and to flourish and prosper. I think you can do it.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. You find your sticks, find your tribe.
Yes.
Whether they're your family from blood or people from family from friendship, I got to say, finding my sticks, I'm just going to always be thinking about this of like how impactful that's been to me over my life. I would say, I don't want to say every year of my life that I come across a hard moment, but life is a roller coaster, and sometimes those hard moments aren't as hard as they were the year before, or maybe that they're going to be in 5 years. But I got to say how important it is to go out there, create community. Somebody that Jeff, we were just talking to, he was talking about, creating your community, network, find the people that you have commonalities with, the people that inspire you. And so you could surround yourself around them, not just every day, but just in times of need, not just in times of need, but how they may come in when you might get sick.
Yes.
You might just need somebody to bring you soup or,
absolutely
give you a hug, or maybe it's a professional that you might know that might be able to help you with your taxes, or you might be able to help somebody with something. So,
correct.
And it's not all about being protected by the community. It's also about you being one of the sticks that's protecting and supporting somebody else.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good tie-in to my earlier, Aesop fable. But that's what makes you invincible, is if you have people in your life, your loved ones, your family members, your friends, that can really be that bundle for you so that you're unbreakable. Lean on that for sure.
The unbreakable bundle.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah. What difference do you want? What do you want to see in Care Medical? What kind of difference do you want to see that it makes in the community?
So I've always wanted, and my clinic is really the center of excellence for urgent care, for sports medicine, in terms of my physical therapy, as well as occupational medicine. And so the difference that I think it makes in the community is that the community members know that there is a place for medicine where if they need a diagnosis, if they need treatment for their illnesses, that they can come to my clinic and know that they're going to be well taken care of.
Yeah. I know not all clinics are created equal. I've had, as somebody that's health conscious and likes to stay ahead of my health, is and going to other clinics and going to your clinic, like I got to say, like your front desk makes people feel really welcome. They're really warm, really friendly. I know sometimes I've been there and I've seen coffee put out. You have comfortable chairs, a clean, sizable lobby that you can wait in, or instructions on how people can wait in a way that is comfortable for them, whether it's in the lobby or in their car. The organization of just how you walk up and how you lead people to be able to present themselves to the front desk, like creating a place where people can line up.
Well, thank you, Chris, for that. That again is, hiring for culture. The front desk is the first meet and greet of my clinic. And so I purposefully hired people that were very personable, kind, and wanted to help people. And so I'm grateful to hear that you had that experience, and it's so important.
Yeah.
I think that, I created drew up my clinic with the help of an architect, and my whole thought was to make the lobby, instead of a typical physician's lobby where there's just chairs and nothing else, is to make it feel like a coffee shop. So hence, the coffee and then the small tables with chairs on each table so that you can have privacy or share it with, your loved ones or friends that come in to help you as well. And so it's great. I'm grateful to hear that's the vision that you saw as well.
Yeah, it is a great experience. And even when you get behind the desk and you're being seen and everybody's been hospitable. I remember what year was it? I got in the motorcycle.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And how easy it was to see you guys, and then also just walk next door, which was inside your building, because you have your own physical therapy.
That's right.
And the people in there, it was like, basically, I'm almost seeing the same people because it was like the same culture.
Yes. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I'm healed 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in dire shape.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But I just got to say, your clinic did wonders. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Do you have any other advice for people that are at the beginning of growing a culture?
Yes. Follow your passion. If you follow your passion, that culture comes in following that. So, for example, like my passion was saving lives, and I wanted to fill my clinic people that are focused on that. And so that's a culture that you develop.
Wow. Follow your passion. So you're saying don't follow the money.
Don't follow the money. Follow your passion.
Follow your passion.
Then the money will come.
Wow. You're the second person to say that today. Both brilliant minds. You met Jeff outside.
Yeah,
in the
great
lobby.
guy.
Yeah. So follow your passion. Don't follow the money.
No, you'll be miserable if you follow the money.
Yeah. What about for people that don't have passion?
Find it.
Yeah. And how would you say find it? Because it sounds like, for me, I feel like you found it early on. How do you find your passion?
So I think the way to find your passion is look at your values, right? There's a lot of ways of looking at what your values are. Pick the values that are most important, and then find something that follows your values, and then all of a sudden that becomes your passion.
We're going to have more conversation about this later today.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, Richard, you drove all the way to Bellevue from Bellingham. Thank you so much for taking that time.
You're very welcome.
Today, and just allowing people to peek inside the mind and your life experience. A lot of little different nuggets in here that are going to resonate with different people that are going to be listening from all stages in life. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chris. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Made of More on KKNW. Whether you're on the road, at the office, or listening from home, keep chasing what lights you up, keep building what matters, and never settle for less than the life you were made for. You are made of more. More purpose, more impact, more joy. Made of More is part of the Speaking Current network of shows and podcasts, all of which that are dedicated to inspiring listeners to build lives of meaning, connection, and value. You can find the Speaking Current network of shows, including Made of More, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Until next Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I'm Chris Erdmann. Stay bold, stay inspired, and stay made of more.